Good afternoon to one and all. Today's session is all about how one can write uh, effectively the PhD thesis. Now, to begin with, what is a thesis? Uh, they, the thesis which a scholar happens to present at the academy level, university level, during their course of PG courses and PhD. Further, uh, post PhD. This work, which is being submitted to college, university, institutions, etc., is
thesis.
all about a long piece of academic writing. This is based on a particular subject which is chosen by the scholar, and this piece of information, though it is a quite long, lengthier piece of information which is gathered, arranged chronologically, and under certain various headings, methodologically we call it is arranged, and then followed by a submission happens to the institutions, academies, colleges, university level, etc. Academic writing, a very long piece on a particular subject, is nothing but the synonym for thesis. Now, this thesis, when you start writing, whether you do a master's degree like MCom, MBA, or any other life sciences degrees, or you enroll for PhD on any other subject, you happen to select here a particular piece of, a particular area which you wanted to explore. In that particular area, you pick up a topic and then start exploring. That is where your journey begins. And your journey again begins with a small critics, a question, something which you don't feel like agreeing on. There you have a question mark as to why is this, like this, a model. It can be a theory. Why is this theory this way? Can this theory be presented alternatively? If you happen to, develop this kind of attitude of, sometimes it is criticizing, sometimes it is questioning, sometimes it is cross questioning our existing, our available data, available models, theories, theorems, etc. When when an individual have this kind of attitude of questions, critics, happen to develop, uh, uh, they start their journey towards research. The data is already available, the theory is already available, model is already available. Though they're available, you're not convinced with. You wanted to do something more better. You wanted to present it in a different way. Most probably that might have become obsolete, and now you wanted to give a new look to it. So that is where the journey of a researcher begins, with a critic, with a question, with non-agreement on the available model, theory, etc. Now, with this question, we popularly call it to be a researchable question. This questions, whatever emerges, um, out of your interest, etc., will have to get validated, because not every questions or every critics in our routine can be turned into a effective thesis. Not everything, but there could be, a step where you happen to ensure that what you are planning to do is so good enough, valid enough to conduct a research on. Hence, this will enable you, this will give you the confidence and boost your levels further to move on writing a thesis on so called particular topic or subject. So thesis basically, if you see, huge volumed books which are submitted to the universities, including PG courses also. If you see, hundreds of pages students end up submitting to the colleges for the award and for the fulfillment of their degree. Yes, they are all called as thesis at master's level or at PhD level. They are all the original piece of work which are the outcome of the efforts of the researchers. Now, this happens to be, start with, as a stated question, and ends up giving answer to those questions. You start with problem, a solution to the problem. If you start with a query, a suggestions to the query. So that's how your journey begins and ends. And at the end, whatever is your journey, you cannot abruptly communicate it as in how you like. Here, the word thesis is a technical association with the courses that you pursue. Hence, it needs to be put in a proper chronological order. There is a methodology which one should follow. And by the end of your degree or the course duration, for PG it is 2 years and PhD somewhere between 4 years to 5 years, and there could be extensions as well, depending upon how you progress your work. So hence here, at the end of your course, the way students end up writing examinations, research ends up with submission of this write up, the thesis we called, to the colleges, universities, etc. Now this again will be sent for reviews, internal, externals, suggestions, corrections, improvements are asked from these internals and external evaluators, followed by, again, your thesis will come back to you with certain corrections, improvements, etc. for resubmission. After incorporating all those necessary changes wherever, whatever possible and applicable, again a scholar is called for viva voce examination. And that is the day where your thesis will, after submission of your thesis, you will be on a stage where your MCOM, your PG or the so-called PhD is awarded to you. Without submitting the thesis, your courses are not complete. This submission of physical books, physical work in the form of thesis is done by every student and the scholars. And nowadays, if you look at the structure of even at UG courses, the research project work, they are called, they are being made mandatory. A piece of work, a piece of report, which is written by the undergraduates to fulfill the criteria for getting an award of undergraduates. So research has become a part of academics, whether it's UG, PG, or even PhD, post-PhD also. Many institutions are there which are funding and which are encouraging research. So there also, one has to submit, after you receive funding, one has to submit a book of your understanding, of your knowings from your journey, what suggestions you are going to give to that particular area, all that need to be compiled and they need to be presented. So whether it's UG, PG, PhD, post PhD, or further any research work that you take up, all those submissions, what you do at the end, that is all that work that you happen to experience, work written in the form of writing, you compile them all and submit. And that piece of submission is nothing but thesis. Okay, all right. Now, what does it contain? Now, a point to be noted here is it is a piece of work which is to be submitted, which doesn't mean that however you want, you will submit. The way I understood, I am submitting. The way you understand, you will be submitting. It is not the case. There is a methodology which is supposed to be followed, a proper, design of the thesis, how it should appear, irrespective of any subject it belongs to, any topic that one is taking up for research. But it has got a uniform set of do's and don'ts and includings, which everyone has to follow. And so is your thesis uniform. Across any university, if you check, these are the lines on which you are asked to do your research work and submit your research work, which facilitates further internal, external examiner, including the scholars, to better understand and compare their work with the others. Not just within their circle, but anywhere, even later also, across any situation, any circumstance, any place. If you have to or happen to be called for presentation, you can present it because it is done and submitted by following certain ethics. We usually refer it to be research ethics. Hence, theses are almost same across all universities. Now, what are those uniform set of guidelines which one is supposed to follow? Now, the contents. Content part, if you look at, it includes first page, which includes some abstract. Followed by, it gives an introduction of the study. Introduction of the study covers introduction of the particular topic which you select, the subject which you select. Suppose cryptocurrencies, if you're selecting, then you will give an overview of cryptocurrency, world at large, global scenario, then come down to Indian scenario, followed by you end up writing about exclusively on cryptocurrencies. This is how you will give the introduction of the study. Then moving on, the next papers which are compiled in thesis are literature review, a theoretical framework. Literature review, theoretical framework, these all we will discuss in detail one by one. Okay, what is literature review? What is, the theoretical framework, etc. Then we have next methodology. Methodology is a method which is being carried out in conducting this particular research, in brief. Then we have results. Results is after you adopt certain methodology and end up getting certain results. What are those results? You will communicate here in your own writing, with your own communication skills. These are not the copied ones from Google or elsewhere. Then we have discussions. Discussions on what should have been better, what are the drawbacks, limitations, etc. Then finally you conclude by giving certain suggestions as well. Then the end matter. And matter is all about the various bibliographies, appendix, references, etc., that you happen to browse since your day one. Since your day one. Some are the places which you refer, some are the books which you happen to take up, read, but you may not cite any line from those textbooks into your research work, though they are to be considered for bibliography. Likewise, you end up writing the end matter. Now let's see what does this front pages includes. Front pages include dissertation title, dissertation and thesis. Please do not understand it differently. They are the synonyms. They can be used in place of each. Dissertation or thesis title is a title which is developed by the researcher in consultation with your supervisors. This thesis title, you can frame it so meaningfully that it gives complete picture of your thesis. Sometimes people end up writing vague titles without quoting the geographical location which is focused on. This kind of titles will not give a clear vision to an externals. Maybe your supervisors and you are clear with what you are doing, but the other persons who are getting to learn what you're doing and based on which your grades will be awarded, then you need to be very careful in designing your title. The title page, first page includes title, followed by you write your name, then you write the type of document it is, your university, institutions, colleges, etc., where you're submitting those details, the degree for which you are submitting, like it can be undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD, MPhils, or post PhD. Then date of submission will be there, and by your details will form the last part on this page. Acknowledgement. What is acknowledgement? Acknowledging people from the day when you started criticizing, or when you started asking a question on. Since then, whoever have been instrumental in encouraging you, motivating you, helping you in direct or indirect ways, or sometimes both the ways. Whatever small amount of help or assistance that you receive to the biggest outsourcing people, every person involved because of whom you are able to successfully finish your work of writing thesis, you have to acknowledge them by taking their names and the kind of nature of help that you received from them, followed by a thanking note. So this is an acknowledgement page. For this, you can also refer samples of any textbook you pick up, and first pages, if you turn, you'll find preface and followed by acknowledgements. So likewise, you can end up thanking to all those peoples, including your supervisors, universities, libraries, analysts who helped you, maybe someone who helped you in typing, some very good known family friend helped you encouraging do project, someone helped you collect data, everyone, including pets, nature, God, everyone. Here you can end up acknowledging all those people whom, with whose help you were able to successfully complete your thesis writing. Okay. Now, followed by you have abstract. Mostly abstract is all about a 1 page Times New Roman 12 font size justification of alignment. For research papers, it is around 300 words to 500 words, whereas for thesis, it is about almost 1 full page. Now, what does this abstract include? Abstract is a gist, a summary, a brief about your work, which you happen to do. The main topic and aims of your research. It describes the methods you adopted. It summarizes. In this, you need to give a summary of all your findings. Conclude, but don't suggest anything. Okay, if whatever findings based on that you end up concluding, but do not ever try to give suggestions in the abstract. Otherwise, there would be nothing left for people to peep into your thesis work. So hence be careful. Okay, abstract is all about to give an idea, given a view, overview of your work in a very summarized way. Definitely it is not an introduction, it is a brief summary. Please, most of the scholars end up understanding as synonyms to introduction and abstract, which is absolutely wrong. Moving on, we have table of contents. What is this? Table of contents. It's list all sections that come after it. Now, this can be done if you're well versed with Microsoft Office. Auto generation can be done with the MS Office. Now, these headings needs to be consistent, clear for the better understanding of the audience. Next, we have a page exclusively put up for abbreviations, because not everyone is technical. Now, you may do a research in physics, research in chemistry, botany. I may not be, good enough to understand the subject so-called chemistry. At the same, it is vice versa. You may not be able to understand commerce as I do, commerce and management. So hence, people who are going to view your thesis work should be in a position to understand. For that, to make it convenient for their understanding, here you give a page on abbreviations where you end up giving all the abbreviations you happen to use in your complete thesis work, in the whole thesis work, wherever, whatever abbreviations you have used, to that abbreviation, what is the full form you're going to give in this page. And all this will be put in alphabetical order, chronological alphabetical order. This again will facilitate them in immediately locating the word and knowing its full form. Abbreviations and followed by full forms. So this is one of the most popular way of writing abbreviations in the thesis. Then we have a glossary. A glossary is one-line meaning for all the special terms that you happen to use. Again, here also, you end up putting them chronological order, that is alphabetically, you will end up putting them. Now, putting all these abbreviations in glossary in alphabetical order will enable a person to locate the word easily, like usually we do in dictionaries. So in this thesis, which is all about around the minimum 500 pages to maximum any number of pages, out of this whole lot of pages, where what it is to locate it is difficult, and the meanings as well. Hence, a glossary of abbreviations and a glossary is being provided by the scholar so that people understand it. And another best practice of writing this, reason for writing this is, see, in English, In English, there are various synonyms for a word, given word, the term that you use. Multiple meanings are available for a single word. Now, you can either take it positive or negative. It depends upon how you end up understanding that line. So this thesis, being a technical work which is submitted by a student to student to a university or a college, happens to be technically understandable. Should not diverse the reader, should not put questions to the readers. Rather, they should be made so comfortable and flexible that people easily understand, locate and understand. So the page of abbreviations and glossary plays an important role when it is a technical subject. Not everybody will be versed with all the technical terms or the definitions. Here, a researcher is supposed to provide all this information on those lines of papers. Then we move on to the main content part, which is introduction. I have just explained how an introduction should be developed in writing. Never please misunderstand or understand introduction to be an introduction of the subject which you have chosen. Suppose, example, if you have chosen to do a research on cryptocurrencies in India, I have been across many scholars and many students, PG, PhDs, eh, many of them come up with writing simply what is cryptocurrency, what is the history of cryptocurrency. Okay. From the textbooks, from the Google, which is not correct. Introduction here means the title which you have proposed, on which you are doing a research, how that is so relevant about that you are supposed to write. Not that you copy it from any textbook or any other sources. Not at all the subject matter. Read it. Take some main elements, points. Focus on those lines again. Develop your own introduction of the study. How you end up introducing yourself to anyone when you stand to speak. That way, self-explanatory it should be. When a person is reading your introduction page, it should be self-explanatory language. This enables the reader to better connect to your ideas and views behind. Here I would like to quote, you will not be available physically when evaluators are reading your thesis work which is submitted, reviewing your thesis work. You will not be available. Hence, your work should be in such a way that it should be self-explanatory. And so, do ensure that you cover things on these lines: topic, background, scope, relevance, research questions, and overview. All these are various elements which you can focus on while writing your introduction. Then, the most important part, which is literature review. In this literature review, one will understand as to what others have done in the area which you have selected, the subject which you are focusing on. All right. Literature review, when you do it with great involvement, and followed by when one happens to identify the research gap, followed by developing a researchable question, I will tell you the experience that you derive, that you feel, the confidence, etc., is totally different. Literature review should be strengthened by adopting Cooper's taxonomy, if you ask me. Cooper's taxonomy gives you on various characters, you can focus on identifying the reviews. Like focus, goals, organization, perspective, audience, and coverage. These are various characteristics on which you can focus on writing your literature review. The more, the better your literature review is, the more and the better is the confidence that you gain on the subject. So never compromise on writing literature review. Do as much possible as hard work during this stage of literature review. Then followed by you will write, the research scholars or the researchers would be focusing on identifying the research gap. Now, to identify the research gap, basically you will have to do an extensive literature review. Then analyze the reviews. How do you analyze? Based on the methods, findings, conclusions, consistencies, inconsistencies, limitations. Sometimes in some papers exclusively, gaps are straight away given. You have to take them into consideration to develop your own gap. Again, here, you should not copy it. One cannot copy the gap of other previous work to your work. No, do not do copy paste. It is something which you should develop out of your understanding from the reviews. Followed by, you have to define your research gap. Then based on these research gap, you will be able to develop the researchable objectives. Okay, then we move on to understand theoretical framework. What is theoretical framework? It's a background literature work. Now, this can be absolutely collected from textbooks, journals, newspapers, articles, websites, annual reports, and various authenticated sources. Now, how you collect, how you put them, order, etc. within this particular topic, it is left to you, researcher. It is left absolutely to the researcher to decide as to how, what, etc. All right. Then we move on for methodology. What is methodology? I already stated methodology is nothing but a method which has been adopted by the researcher. And the method, approach, type, etc. can be quantitative, qualitative, experimental, and many other are there in there. So overall, which one is your study based on? Quantitative, qualitative? That you should identify and confine yourself clearly. Then you have data collection methods, surveys, interviews, archives, are all these various methods, tools which you can adopt for collecting the data. Then details, from whom you will collect, where you will collect, and when you will collect. All these details you have to sit and chalk out a program, which we usually call it to be a sampling. Then we have tools and materials, some chemical botany, some plants, some physics in, laboratories, etc. or commerce field trips, management, case studies, etc. happens to be done under the so-called programs, equipments. You need certain things. So how are you going to acquire them, possess them, and use them? A plan of action you have to show here. And at the end, when you finish writing your thesis, convert your plan of action to be implemented. Next, you have data analysis methods. Now, you're collecting data, fine. How do you analyze them? Some tools like MX Excel, SPSS, R, Python, so many are available for analyzing the data. Which one are you using? About that, detailed information should be provided. Obstacles are nothing but the challenges which one faces during your research work, forms limitations of the study. So all this you need to sum up the challenges that you happen to face and write it under the broad heading of limitations. Then we move on to results. What are results? Results are nothing but the findings which you happen to be surprised of. Okay, so here the researcher is in a position to know opinion of others on a question which you started with. How the people are reacting to that particular question. Now you cannot manipulate this, as in how you receive in the same way. Yes, of course, you need to put them in a proper order, meaningful way, presentable form, but should not be manipulated. It should be converted into percentages for better understanding and presentation, and then presented. Now, this results should include all those relevant information which you have collected, which is again based on the various researchable questions that you started your journey with. Remember, the journey of a research begins with researchable questions, investigation, investigative questions, critics, etc. Those questions you have to keep, stick to. Now, at every stage, you need to understand connectivity, create connectivity. Like when you do literature review, also you need to connect to the literature, objectives. And when you're writing results also, you need to go back and connect to your researchable questions. Then only you will be in a position to understand whether what you started with, are you successfully able to get the solutions or not. If not, there should be some challenge that you have faced. That challenge which you faced will become a limitation of your present study. And these limitations, if someone else is working on tomorrow, okay, if these limitations which you are putting in your thesis work, someone else is working on those limitations to strengthen their work and proposing a new work on it, then it leads to a new research work. It's cyclical in nature. Now, with great passion and high ambition, a researcher begins his journey with a researchable question which is valid, tested. Yet, in the journey, there come several challenges, because of which there are certain points where you give up unattainably. Those all which you couldn't do, which you feel like a researcher feels like would have been done better. All those challenges, all those experiences comes up in limitations of your present study. Now, if someone is good enough to carry out on those limitations a new work, then they can proceed. So on and so forth, it is cyclical in nature. Okay. Next week, discussions. Interpret the results. Discussion is wherein you happen to again put your questions beside, know your findings, then start discussing as to what you are experiencing. What are your observations? Write them in a very presentable, meaningful way. Then comes a conclusion. For conclusion as well, here in this section, never go back and start introducing a data, get into any argument, write about some interpretations which you did not use it. No, don't do those experiments. Purely connect to your questions objectives, and findings. And based on that, try to end up writing your researchable conclusions. Yes, you can emphasize more on the significance of the research, means how important it is. Then show what you have contribution, what your contribution is, general, public, nation, to the state, local, etc. These are the important elements which you can focus on while writing your conclusions. Then we move on to know about the end part. End part includes references. Now, for all the theses, that's academic writings, APA style or MLA style is the most preferred type of referencing. Now, if you ask me what is APA style and MLA style, please look at your Microsoft Office, upgrade your systems. They're automatically available, citations are available. Okay, so you can just download the features, upgraded versions, and you can start using by fixing certain, features to it. You can just do it online. Now, references include all those bibliographies, references, and any other quotations, citations, etc. Now, why should you give references and how do you give references? APA style, that's American, psychological institution. This is the most popular form of writing the references. So follow APA style. And if your university is demanding you to write in some other style or, references, then you have to follow it. But most popular one is APA. Now, this includes all the complete details, accurate information of each source which you have referred. Citation generators also online, these are available. You can just download them and use them to generate citations. Then we have appendices. What is appendices? Now, there in your complete work, writing work, there may be certain things which may not, which are not fitting in the chapters or units, which may not be fitting. Now, if they are not fitting, then what should you do? Do you scrap them? No, never. Because they have some significance you have collected. Now, a part of it is used, another part is left. You think you should scrap? Then no, you should not scrap. Because it was useful, whatever to the extent it is useful, you used it. The remaining part, what you should do? You put it in appendix. Okay, so anything that you feel will not fit in the running chapters and some data over and above is collected, yet again it is significant, then put them all, tables, graphs, pictures, data, text, etc. in appendix section. In this section, name them. Like if you have some interview transcripts are there, you will never put up interview transcripts in the units or chapters. You will discuss, but you will not put up. Now those proofs you can put up. Survey questions are there. You will not put up the questionnaire in your thesis, but you can put up in appendix. On the same line, some text which is not fitting in the chapter, yet it is important. Put up in the appendix. If required, they are there in your book. It can be referred. So that way you end up writing your appendices. Okay, now it's time I will show you one work, how you can write and draft your first pages, etc. I hope the screen is on, and I'm sharing a document of work done by the students.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so this is your front page, which I was discussing. This is the title, and this is your detail with the hall ticket number and the year. And see here, this is how you write. Yes, even for PhD also, you end up writing this format only. Project submitted in partial fulfillment for the award of degree. This is Master of Commerce. It can be MBA, any the logo followed by the supervisor's name, and then followed by the. This is the place where you write the details of the institutions, colleges to whom you are submitting. Okay, then you have, see, the certificate, which you will be gaining it from your institutions or college, universities, etc. That the bona fide work. Here is your declaration that the work done is genuine. This is the scholar's point of view, declaration. And then you have acknowledgement. You can see here how the acknowledgement is written. You can thank anyone who have been instrumental in encouraging you and making you do this beautiful work. Okay, then you have followed by table of content. Yes. See, this includes serial number, chapter number, particulars, introduction, page numbers, and see how the numbering is done. Chapter 1 includes 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and if any subheadings are there, 1.6.1, so on and so forth. Then theoretical framework. This is second unit, and so the number 2 is starting with. Then you have third unit, which is data analysis. You're starting with 3 point and so on. And then followed by some subtopics, which is 3.9.1. And then fourth unit is findings, conclusions, and suggestions, denoted with 4 number. Then see here, appendix, which is the review sheet, questionnaire, Google Sheet, questionnaires, responses, Excel sheets, SPSS, plagiarism reports. See the numbering that is being used here, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, and the page numbers. Then you have list of tables. List of table. It is all in your thesis, the complete thesis work. Wherever the tables are there, to that you give a table number, the title, and where it is on which page. This is list of tables, followed by you have list of graphs or figures in the same line. This is your list table or graph or figure number. This is the title, and this is the page number where it is. And then we have chapters, each and 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I'll show you the appendix. One second. Yes. Now see, the first one is literature review Excel sheet. This is how I made the students and scholars do the review. Okay, so the proof of how they have done. This cannot be put up in the literature review part. Already paragraphs have been put up. I'll show you 1 second. Paragraphs have been put up in the form of reviews. See, Muhammad Hassan, Ali, Abdul Rahman et al. Means there are many other authors, and this work is done in the 2020. And what are the details of the work, like objectives, conclusions, discussions, are being summarized in just a paragraph. See, it's not the lengthiest one, simple paragraphs. This, before writing this paragraph, they happen to do this Excel sheet, which I just showed you all. Yes, this is the Excel sheet. Under the broader headings of objectives, methodology, sample size, key analysis, findings, research gap, they have written, and followed by they have summarized into paragraph. Then we had questionnaire, the designing of questionnaire. See, all this questionnaire, you will the researcher should not put it in the chapters. There is no place for this questionnaire. Now, does that mean it doesn't have any role or significance in the research work? Absolutely no. This is the tool which you used for collecting the data. Hence, it is very important, right? These all should be put up under the appendices. You can give as many headings you have, those many headings you can give under appendices, and start showing them one by one. And followed by what else you can show in appendix. Now here this data collection happened, the data collection happened via Google Forms. So the proof of Google Form, whether it is done, on which date, all those proofs I wanted to see as an evaluator. So here is a screenshot of all this. A link also can be posted. See how many responses were collected. The Excel sheet, which is automatically generated on Google Form, showing all the 70 responses with all those questions which is been asked in the questionnaire. Then this is SPSS view sheet, where the candidate here has used SPSS to analyze the data. So data view and variable view. Then followed by plagiarism reports. Now you can see here the 6% as low as 10 below 10% is accepted. So hence in some pages it is 0%. So all these are various proofs which are important. I repeat, which are quite important, in fact, to support your study, that it is a very innovative and a novel study done exclusively by you. It is not a copy. Okay, there are many things which act as a proof. All those you can put them under appendix C. Right? So this is appendix. So this is how your thesis will be. Now this being a PG project, which is of around 115 pages. Now 115 pages here. Now imagine a thesis will start from 500 pages to any number. Now again, in bibliography also I would like to show here and focus on this. See how the references are done. I just briefed you on APA style. Yes, this is APA style. Now Abdullah, if you see, this is the first reference which is quoted here. These are all the reviews that the candidate has done. All those reviews which are there in your thesis will be presented in the APA style under the references head. Then we have list of other sections, which is bibliography. Under this, you have books. articles reviewed. Under books, she has mentioned only 2. Then we have articles. All these are in APA style. Okay, this you can see the title is starting here and second line spacing is just behind. Why is this? This is APA style. It is not unedited document. It is an APA style of referencing. See, you can see all are aligned. Corporate technology program. When a new reference is starting, it is starting from this alignment, left side. Okay, then you have list of all the bibliographies. Bibliographies are the various web pages which have been used and referred. All these are the various web pages. Okay, so this is how research work is supposed to be, with all the first pages, middle pages, and the end pages. So yes, I am done with the session. I am open for questions. If any questions, please come up with questions.